I left everything at home, my elder son, husband, and my country. I want to live there. I don't want that place to be Russia. They turned our lives upside down. I don't have words to describe it.
Crystal Wells is the spokesperson of the International Committee of the Red Cross, and she joins us from Geneva. Crystal, thanks for joining us. So you see all of these people, 1.7 million now, possibly 5 million by the middle of the summer. What is going to happen to all of these people?
It's just devastating to contemplate that this crisis is really not even 2 weeks in the making. And you look at the exodus that's happening outside of Ukraine, people, piling onto buses, trains, cars, any way that they can get out with whatever they can carry. And inside Ukraine, the situation is obviously absolutely devastating. I was speaking with our team today in Ukraine, and we have a team in Mariupol, and what they describe is the situation there is apocalyptic. People don't have food, they don't have water, they don't have heat, they don't have electricity. And these are scenes that are obviously repeated across many of these cities in Ukraine today. So it's just a huge humanitarian crisis that is unfolding in front of our eyes. And unfortunately, so long as this fighting continues like it is, we can only expect that the humanitarian needs will grow.
What is the best that people watching can do to help these people? What do you do?
I mean, a simple way to help is to give money. You can give money to your local Red Cross or Red Crescent society. The Red Cross is really mobilizing as a global movement to help with this crisis with different organizations working alongside the neighboring countries. And we as the ICRC are really focusing our efforts within Ukraine. So it sounds so simple, and it is so simple, but to just give what you can. The needs are huge, and a little bit would go a very long way.
And I know this is early days, and it's hard to believe considering how many people have had to flee and how much destruction there has been. But given what you know about refugees and those in Europe, are these people likely, when the fighting ends, to want to go back to Ukraine, or once they get out into other countries in Europe where maybe they will have a smoother transition than people from other regions, are they likely to want to stay outside?
I think it's way too early to say. And to be honest, I don't want to speak on behalf of all of these, hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians who are fleeing their homes. But what I would say is that today, what is really important is those refugees arriving into those countries, that we provide them with, the assistance that we often think about: food, water, shelter, and these basic needs. But something that often gets forgotten is that families in conflicts like this get separated from one another. And I think if we can put, ourselves into the shoes of some of these families fleeing, they could be leaving behind a brother, a husband. They may not know what's happening to their mother in another city. Mm-hmm. And a big part of what we'll be doing with the Red Cross and Red Crescent Network is to really try and help families reconnect with one another and find one another. Wow. So again, I think it's just too early to speculate, but I would like to reiterate that beyond these immediate needs that we so often think of in the wakes of wars and disasters, we have to remember that there are families who are separated, and that pain is unbearable. And a big part of our role will be trying to help families stay in touch with one another.
Got it. And of course, like we've been saying, nobody knows how long this is going to last. But you see those people moving somewhere else, having to, even if it's temporarily, start their lives over, finding jobs and long-term survival for potentially 5 million people. And this is a real challenge, not just for them, but also for their communities who want to help them. Are there going to be places for these people?
Yeah, it's huge, and I think we've seen this in so many crises around the world that when you have mass displacement like this, there are needs that the people have who are fleeing, but there's also needs and pressure that go on the host communities as well. But I think today, what is just really important is that we really mobilize as an international community and support those who are fleeing, but also not forget those, of course, who are inside Ukraine, which is a big focus of the ICRC, the organization that I work for. Again, you have people living in cities right now with absolutely nothing, where day to day survival is genuinely such a struggle. And a big part of what the ICRC does is we advocate directly with the parties to the conflict about their obligations to follow international humanitarian law, which is the law that governs armed conflict. And that with that, it means that civilians need to be protected in wartime. And that these rules were really created to preserve humanity in war. So I just fear that so long as the fighting continues with the brutality that it is, we're just going to continue to see incredible suffering of civilians and their families, both inside Ukraine, but also giving families no choice but, of course, to leave Ukraine in search of safety.
Yeah, and it has been excruciating to see those pictures. Crystal Wells with the International Committee of the Red Cross, thank you for joining us and for the
Thank
work that
you.
you do.